Okay, we are recording.
We are recording.
Yeah.
Welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my home for another Cooking with Alice, a Northern Solano Democratic Club fundraiser. We hosted our first virtual fundraiser on June 26th in 2020 in the midst of COVID during that long period of isolation. So thanks everyone for supporting our COVID is still with us. Well, not as life-threatening, but keeping our democracy alive and thriving remains an election consequence. Therefore, our mission of raising money to get Solano Democrats to the polls to vote has not changed. This is something we have to do. So thanks everyone for supporting our 7th Cooking with Alice show, created to raise funds to support local Solano Democrat candidates, as well as those already elected. Thanks to those of you viewing online. Special thanks to those of you who are here in the house tonight, in the kitchen. It's really kind of cool. And thanks for being here in person to support the evolution of Cooking with Alice and transforming it into, this hybrid kitchen table discussion about the future of Solano County. So let's welcome our guests. Congressman Mike Thompson, who now represents us in Congressional District 4, which includes all or parts of Solano, Napa, Sonoma, Lake, and Yolo counties. While it is our clear objective to elect more Democrats to hold seats on local education, supervisor, and other service boards, it is also important that we are confident that our voices are heard in the state and national offices. Congressman Thompson is a member of the powerful House Committee on Ways and Means. He's an Army combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient, and is married to Janet Thompson. Where's Janet? She's here with us today. Hey, Janet. So welcome to Congressman and Mrs. Thompson. We look forward to learning about your vision for California, particularly Solano County, as well as experiencing your culinary skills as you show us how to prepare a favorite of yours, the frittata. Congressman, because of electoral district boundary changes, you are now representing us here. So tell us a few things about yourself that we probably don't know. You own a vineyard, and I recently learned that you make olive oil. I'd really like to know about this.
Well, Alice, thank you very much. Thanks for opening your kitchen again for Solano County Democrats and for the future of our country. And thanks for inviting me back for a second time to cook with you and to cook to make sure not only that our Democrats eat well, but we elect the right people. All right, a couple of things. I'm a disciple of Julia Childs. So Julia always said that she always cooked with wine, and sometimes she added to what she was cooking. So I think on the menu today are mimosas, and so I think we ought to just start by doing that. And this is an Iron Horse sparkling wine from Sonoma County, the Sterling family, great Democrats and great friends. They made this particular label, this Iron Horse gratitude, in honor of the folks who experienced such tragedies in the fires. And $5 from every bottle of this sparkling goes to the food bank. So it's I thought it'd be a good one to start with. So some of you have already started, and so we're going to go ahead and do the mimosa.
Well, I'm a disciple of the sharecropper. There was no way to have a mimosa at dinner, so I'm gonna have a little hot water with mine.
Well, I'm still a disciple of Julia Childs, but because it's Lent, I'm gonna have water.
Okay.
But everybody else, and I don't know why I do that, but I've always done that. So while I'm drinking my water, there'll be folks going around pouring mimosas for everyone who's here. So please enjoy. Allison, I can tell you a little bit about me. I was born, grew up, and still live in our district. Lived here my entire life. I've represented this part of Solano County in the past. So coming back in this redistricting it's not new territory for me. I've certainly met new friends and new constituents with a lot of old friends, and either way, we seem to be working really well together. And I'm like you. I think all politics are local. And I spend a lot of time in Solano County and the other counties in our great district. And it's a wonderful district, and people are fantastic, and everybody's working really hard. We've got to, as you say, make sure we preserve our democracy and deliver for the district.
And deliver for the district.
So good to be with you.
Good to be with you, and I hope you guys are happy to be here with us, because it's really nice to look out there and see everybody. All right, so before we dive into the politics, I want you to tell us what we need to make here for Tyler. Let the audience see what we got here, what we're gonna put in this phone.
Okay.
And by the way, are you gonna tell me what to do, or are you gonna?
Well, we'll work together.
Okay,
That works.
I love that together.
Okay. So frittata is a favorite of mine, and my grandmother, who was first generation Italian American, and she taught me everything I know about cooking. Jan, my wonderful wife, has improved on that. But this was a favorite of hers, and it's great. I think brunch is a fun meal. Breakfast is a fun meal, and the frittata is just a great way to do it. I also I love the movie Morning Glory with Harrison Ford, and if you saw that, there's a frittata scene in that movie, and he's explaining to his audience. It's also virtual. He's talking to he's a newscaster, and he's talking to people watching the news show, and he said the beauty of a frittata is you can make it with anything you have in your refrigerator. And that's the truth. So, you know, if you're, you can just go to the refrigerator, see what's there, and go from there. We've already got it planned out. We're going to do some ingredients that are always a favorite of mine. And we've got it already chopped up and ready to go. And I think the first thing we need to do is get this frying pan going. We've added a little olive oil and a little butter. You can use any kind of olive oil you like, but as Alice said, Jan and I make our own. So this is our favorite, Forney Grove, and it's a great olive oil. And there's some door prizes today, right?
That's right. So some lucky person is going to get a bottle.
This is one of those.
Yeah.
And if you don't count our time or the cost of the land, it's the most expensive olive oil ever made. Right.
I see you want me to start cracking eggs, maybe?
You can, yeah, start cracking. We're gonna put a dozen eggs in, and we're gonna break those up.
Yeah, that's a lot of eggs. So, and why don't you tell us a little bit? I wanted to make sure that you told us a little about the menu. We have this amazing brunch menu to enjoy today.
Well, we're not only doing a frittata, but we're going to pair that with some chicken apple sausages that they've already been grilled and they're warming in the oven, and some potatoes. And I think what we used are the Yukon Gold potatoes, and we browned those and then we sauteed them in some onions, and they're warming up also.
And also,
We've got some. Oh yeah.
in honor of Mardi Gras, you know, New Orleans is my hometown. And in honor of Mardi Gras, I had a king cake shake. And a lot of the door prizes came straight from New Orleans. Loretta's pralines. When you go to New Orleans, that's where you want to go. And we have a Mardi Gras cake, and we have some homemade baked cookies too.
Okay, we're gonna add in to start sauteing onions and shallots.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep cracking eggs, right?
Okay, absolutely. I'm gonna borrow this and stir that a little bit.
Okay. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Here we go. It's been almost 2 years since Russia's full-scale invasion in Ukraine. Why,
I'm gonna put some garlic in too.
okay, good. Why do you think we should support Ukraine in this war?
Well, I think it's an easy one. You've already, pointed out the importance of maintaining, our democracy. And I think not only Americans, but I think any people, any country, the people in that country should have the freedom to be able to elect their leaders. And, that's what this is about. Ukraine is an ally, they're a democracy, and Putin illegally invaded that country, and it's been brutal. They've conducted an immoral, illegal invasion, and I believe it's important that we stand by our allies and we protect democracy. And in this case, you talk about, Alice, you mentioned the importance of Solano County and the local impact of what we do.
That's a question coming up.
Well, I just want to say that it also pertains to Ukraine because they're a trading partner.
Right.
And one area where you wouldn't, we've all seen the beautiful pictures of the sunflowers in Ukraine. As a matter of fact, the sunflower has become somewhat of an important image in this war. But I wonder if people know that sunflowers are grown in our district. And about 55% of the market for sunflowers grown in our district is Ukraine. So we grow them for seeds, and then Ukraine grows them there. So that's 55. That's over half of the market just lost because of this. And then there's other agricultural impacts as well. Ukraine is a major source of the fertilizer that we use in agriculture. Not only in our district, but throughout California and the western United States. So when that war broke out, we lost that source. So that's had an impact on the cost of food in the grocery store, and it's really hit farmers and communities hard.
So what is NATO doing? Are diplomacy negotiations a priority with them, and are they ongoing concurrently as all of this is happening?
Well, first of all, I have no reason to believe that Putin is interested in negotiating. He hasn't shown any interest in doing that. But if that were to happen, then yes, they would certainly be impactful there. But that's one of the problems that we've had with this whole invasion. Anybody who thinks Putin's going to stop in Ukraine, I think I've got a bridge to sell. He'd like to just keep going and going and going. He doesn't want to control the whole world. He just wants to control every bit of the world that touches what he already controls. And so I think we need to be very mindful of that. And his invasion has had a different impact on NATO and on our NATO allies. And I think he thought it would. We've expanded. Sweden and Finland are now part of the NATO alliance. And this is an alliance where our allies have all come together and we're sticking together.
Now, several Bay Area peace groups have rallied outside Travis Air Force Base to, and this is according to the Vatican Reporter, assail the U.S. government's complicity in genocide by Israel against Gaza. As a member of the Defense Communities Caucus, the Congressional Army Caucus, and the Military Veterans Caucus, can you explain to us just what is the role of Travis Air Force Base in the war on Gaza?
Well, Travis Air Force Base is incredibly important to the defense of our nation and our allies. We are everything in the West. And so we supply folks both military aid as well as humanitarian aid. And I know that a lot of the equipment that has gone to our allies has been flown out of Travis Air Force Base. The specifics of what they're doing and where they're doing is something that I certainly can't talk about.
Right.
But this Travis Air Force Base is important. It's important to world peace. It's important to our allies. It's important to our national defense. And we should make sure that we remember that, not only today because of what's going on in the Middle East, but also in regard to what may be going on in Solano County that would impact the ability of Travis Air Force Base to continue to function. And that will probably, that issue may come up later, but I represented Vallejo when Mariana Maple Shipyard was shut down. And that was about $1 billion a year loss to Solano County. And if Travis were impacted by anything that would cause them to close, the economic cost to our community and to our region would be astronomical.
We already learned about sunflowers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knew of that.
No. I learned about half and half.
Half and
We
half.
got it with half and half.
Okay.
About it.
Half and half. And but something else goes in there at this point.
There's gonna be a bunch of stuff that's gonna go in there.
Okay, a bunch of
And
stuff.
I think we should put some pepper.
Oh, and about that, Congressman, you know, we have to do this as a test. You know, we tested this out, and I have a witness to tell you that I appreciate the fact that you're having this nice cultural event, but in addition to salt and pepper, can we put a little ham in it from New Orleans?
Is this your kitchen?
Yes.
Bam away, girl. I love it.
So the next question is, too often voters are not aware of how national legislation and policies impact their day-to-day issues and concerns. But note these headlines, these local headlines. Thompson announces tax bills to exempt PG&E fire victims. Thompson announces public health safety heroes. And then there's California Forever and opponents gear up for campaigns. Can you explain to us why collaborating with local leaders is important to your service to us and to your reelection? And what other local projects do you want to support in your next term?
Well, I think at the local level, that's where the rubber hits the road, the water hits the wheel. This is where it all happens.
And the rubber is hitting the road right here, folks.
Oh, yeah, I've added,
He's putting everything in here right now.
I've added the bell pepper, chopped up red bell pepper. And not only is that great, but it adds some color to it.
Yes,
and it
indeed.
really makes it neat. So we'll let that saute while.
And it sort of goes with that title, frittata.
Yeah.
You think about color, when you think about, you know, it sounds like it should be colorful.
And I put in the mushrooms, sliced mushroom. We'll put the zucchini in next, but you know, I want to put in these fresh herbs.
Okay.
We have parsley, we have rosemary, we have thyme. There's no sage, and I was told I can't say parsley, sage. I don't think it was because we didn't have sage. I think it was because the person who came out to do that has heard me sing before.
Oh, that must be Mrs. Thompson. Singing in the kitchen.
No, I'm not allowed to sing in our kitchen.
Oh, okay.
There's probably 54 of the 58 counties that have ordinances.
But I have to make note of this. Do you notice how neat he is in the kitchen? Just saying, for all of you wives whose husbands you don't want in the kitchen because they're not neat in the kitchen, here's an example of what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna put the zucchini in.
Okay.
And what we've done is we've shredded the zucchini, and you can do it. Remember what Harrison Ford said, the beauty of a frittata is you can just use what you've got. You can put protein, you can put bacon in it, you can slice the zucchini, but we like to grate it up. So it's going in.
we'll mix this up. And now, I've been doing this, Alice. And paying attention to this. And what was the question? The local
That's
relation.
right, the local relationship and what local, what, are there any local projects that you have on your agenda for us?
So as I said, you know, the local is where the water hits the wheel. And
You want me to
folks
say that?
at the local level, they know what's going on. They're here every day. And these are the problems that they're working on. One of my roles in Congress is to work with locals, work with the local elected officials at every level to figure out how to deliver for the people in our district. And that's what it's all about. Voters in our district sent me to Washington, not to see how many hits I could get on my social media, like some of my colleagues, and I think you know who I'm talking about. We've got some folks in Congress right now, their sole purpose is to make sure nothing gets done.
Yeah.
And they wanna heighten their name ID, they wanna heighten the number of social media hits they get. It's not why I went to Washington, and I don't think it's why you sent me to Washington. I'm there to get things done for our district. And Alice, the bill that you talked about, the PG&E fire victim bill, I think is a great example of that. In our district, there were a number of people who lost their homes and their businesses to fire. And they were part of a lawsuit against Pacific Gas and Electric. And there was a settlement. And when they got their settlement, number one, it wasn't enough to rebuild their home. They were not made whole. But number two, and probably more alarming, was they found out that they were liable to pay taxes on that money that they received. And they were liable for taxes on the money that their lawyers received. So this just put them further in a financial hole. So I did legislation that exempted them from this tax provision. In the last Congress, when the Democrats controlled the House, it was passed. I got it passed. It went over to the Senate, and literally in the 11th hour, Senator McConnell said, "We're not doing anything on taxes." So it fell off the table. In this Congress, I reintroduced that bill. And I do a lot on a bipartisan manner. And as I said, I think that's part of being able to deliver for the community. And Doug LaMalfa, a Republican from Butte County, whose constituents also experienced terrible fire disaster. Doug and I reintroduced the bill, and we included that package of bills that we passed out of my Ways and Means Committee. And so it passed the House along with a fix to this is a Democratic event, right? So I can so the biggest bill that the Republicans have passed out of the House this year is this bill, a tax bill. And this is what it did. Number one, it fixed a research and development tax problem that the Republicans created with their 2017 tax bill. Number two, it extended the child tax credit legislation that the Democrats passed last year that cut childhood poverty in half. They did some low-income housing tax credits, which always a good program. As a matter of fact, in our district, I did a carve-out for a low-income housing tax credit for disaster areas. And we built going on 2,000 units of housing in our district because of that carve out that I did. So it's always good when you can expand the low income housing tax credit. So it did that. And then the other thing it does, it included my bill to help the victims of the PG&E Trust Fund fire victims. So that's their big thing. We passed it out of the committee, we passed it out of the House, it's over in the Senate, and we want very much to make sure that that gets passed over there, signed into law.
Local stuff.
So that's how the local stuff works, and that's important.
Okay, but we have a real big local issue going on around here now, and that's with California forever. So you gotta tell us what your position is on that.
Well, the way I feel is it should be California for never. I have very serious concerns. I'm gonna put the cheese in.
Okay, in the A.
Yes.
Okay.
And cheese is going, I've washed my hands. And I'm also, that's Gruyere cheese, and we've grated that. This is Parmesan cheese. We'll put that in. And mix that in. The California Forever proposal would build at it. Let me back up, because I don't want to tell you what it would do, because I don't think anybody really knows. All we know is what they're telling us it would do.
Right.
And that's alarming. What I do know is they're trying to pass an initiative that would remove the protections on a lot of land in Solano County that Solano County voters voted 3 times to protect. So they want to expunge this protection, and then they tell us that they're going to do this development. Sometimes they call the city, sometimes they call it a town. We'll put one more of these in.
Okay.
And but a lot of the things that they promised, and a lot of the protections for Solano County and the people of Solano County that they claim are in this aren't enforceable, because you can't pass a development agreement with an initiative, and you can't get these protections, and you can't guarantee these promises without a development agreement. So they want, what they're saying is, remove all the protections and then trust us. We'll do the right thing. Well, I'm all for trusting people, but I think, what did Ronald Reagan say? Trust but verify. Jan's uncle was a card player. He used to say, trust everybody, but cut the cards. So that worries me. And I don't know, has anybody driven on the I-80 corridor lately? I mean, it is completely jammed up. They're talking about a development for 400,000 people. And where are they gonna drive? They're not gonna commute with their hovermobile. This would really impact them. They say, don't worry, taxpayers aren't gonna have to pay for any of this infrastructure needs for the community. When we pushed them on that, they retreated a little bit. They said, well, we're gonna pay our fair share. Well, who pays whatever isn't their fair share? Who pays for that? It's the rest of us. Either that, or there'll be projects within the county that won't be funded because there's not enough money left over when we get done paying for their stuff. And this is,
I think it's ready for that, right?
okay, I'm gonna put the secret sauce in, huh?
Secret sauce goes in.
Here's the eggs and the cheese.
Okay.
Eggs, the cheese, the bam.
Bam, it's all set, and you can put it in the oven.
Well, I'm gonna mix this up a little bit.
Oh, we were told not to mix it up.
Who told you that?
We're not naming names.
I'm not gonna rat on her.
Alice, since when have you done just what people tell you to do?
You got it.
I'd like to leave it on the oven, on the oven.
On the stove a little bit? All right.
At the bottom. Cooking.
So, but this is a good time then,
So
because
let me finish. You got me on the roll with this California.
oh, okay, because remember now, we still have audience questions coming up, so.
Okay, well, I just want to say, so they're making all these promises, none of them are enforceable.
Right.
No guarantees to this. And, and I've said that I've thought that they've come in a little half-baked for a number of reasons. But last night, my Washington DC office was contacted with another issue that I didn't know about, and I don't know that anybody else did, because we just got it, as I say, last night. But there's a rail line that goes through their proposed project right now, and the federal government has the authority over that rail line, and they can't. They told us, they wrote this, they said, we cannot allow a project to sit on that rail line. So once again, their project, I used to say half-baked, because this is the third, they've now filed 3 different initiatives, because they file it, you know, these are the smartest people in the room who wrote those, says they filed it, then they had problems, and then they refiled it, and they had problems, and they refiled it. Well, here's number 4, because it's right on smack dab in the middle of a rail right of way, which cannot happen. And so it's just, I mean, it's just problem after problem after problem. And that's what happens when you try and get out over the tip of your skis. They're trying to outsmart everybody, outmaneuver the board of supervisors. There's a reason why we have building codes, and a reason why we have a county form of government. We need to have orderly growth, and you don't turn over the keys to the store to somebody and say, go ahead and build whatever you want, please make it orderly. We elect people to oversee that, and that's what they're trying to scoot around.
All right.
Let's put it in there.
Okay, let's put it in the oven, and the oven is right there, this is right there, the oven's over there. I'm going to ask this question because tonight is passing while you put that in the oven, so you have to listen, you have to multitask.
I can do that.
Okay. Our next question will come from one of our guests, Sienna, that's why it's been in health. Full disclosure, Sienna is not a participant in my Democracy Matters Civics Education program, which is not, because it's a league program and we can't be parts. But I'm hoping that she will at some point. But she is, however, a senior at Vacaville High. And because she's following her mother's example, she's keenly interested in how her government works and who her leaders are. So thanks, Sienna, for coming, and you get a chance to ask a question and cooking with that.
Thank you so much, Alice. So Mike Thompson, my question for you is, how are you going to help local schools end the scare of gun violence?
Thank you very much for the question. It's important and it's timely. It's even more timely today than it's ever been in the past. Right now, gun violence is the #1 cause of death for children and teenagers. I can't go anywhere in our district where I'm not approached by a young person who will tell me, I'm really afraid that gun violence is going to hit our school. Or a parent. And as a matter of fact, this just happened not too long ago in one of the more rural conservative parts of our district, where parents came to me and said, we are deathly afraid to send our kids to school because we're fearful that they won't come home. And that's unacceptable. Gun violence is an epidemic that we're dealing with. We had more mass shootings last year than we had days last year. We had, I don't know what the number is now, but the last I looked, we were 1 mass shooting ahead of the number of days this year. And the reality is, it's the mass shootings that get the attention. But every day, 30 people are killed by someone using a gun. If you add accidental deaths and suicide, it goes up over 100 a day. And there's things that we can do. I support the Second Amendment. I'm a gun owner. I've been a gun owner as long as I could legally own a gun. I don't want to lose my right to own a gun, and I don't want anyone else to lose their right to own a gun. But there are some people who we collectively, we shouldn't let get anywhere close to a gun. And that's why we have background checks to check it out, to make sure someone is not a danger to themselves or to others. And I think the best thing that we can do, the fastest thing we could do, is expand background checks to apply to all gun sales. So the federal law says that if you buy a gun through a federally licensed gun dealer, you have to get a background check. Some states, such as California, they've expanded that. Everybody has to get a background check in California. But there are 33 states that go by the federal law only. So in one of those 33 states, you can go into a gun store and say, I want to buy this gun. They do a background check, comes back, they say, sorry, bud, you're prohibited from owning a firearm. You're a danger to yourselves or to others. That person can walk out the store and go down the street to the computer store, rent 10 minutes on the computer, dial up whatever gun dealer organization is, Guns R Us. There's a bunch of online gun sellers. Go to that site, type in the same gun you were just refused sale on, and it'll give you a list of everybody that has that gun in the area for sale. Then you just go down the list till you find one of the sellers that's not a licensed dealer. Call them up, go to the back parking lot and give them cash, and you've got the gun. So not only is it a problem for those states, but those guns come into our state and to other states that have gone the extra mile to put gun violence protection laws in place. So there's a lot we can do. The expanded background check bill is my bill. And I didn't know this wasn't rehearsed, but I'm the chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, so I know more gun violence statistics than anybody should. So it is a serious problem, and I'm committed to working on it. I met with James.
Well, if we had rehearsed it, we would have been a minute a little bit short.
Jan and I had dinner with President Biden the other day, and he told me, he said, we can do this. He said, when I get reelected, and he's done a lot. He set up the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. He's used his administrative jurisdiction to require everything from serial numbers and background checks for ghost guns. He's done a lot. He said there's more we can do, and I'm looking forward to us continuing to work together on this.
This is why we have to elect more Democrats to Congress.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thanks for that response. And now it's time for us to thank our sponsors for the first fundraiser. The sponsors are Kathy Patinos and Marilyn Singer and Dr. Rosanna Birdie. How you guys? All right, now let's do a door prize. So Congressman, pick a name.
Which one are we gonna do? Which door prize?
Well, we can do from the tables. Those little boxes on the table, those are gifts from New Orleans. So let's see who's gonna win one. You read that. Jean McDougal, is she here?
Gianna.
Gianna, okay, well,
She don't have a way.
but you're representing her. All right, so that's your door prize.
What, now, wait, did she want you to get the prize? Or did she want Alice?
She has to be present.
All right, and so remember, the door prizes, if the guests are not here, our hardworking president, Jeannie, like to go definitely deliver the prize to you. All right, so Congress has failed for more than 2 decades to reform immigration, including this February, when the Republicans voted down their own immigration bill under pressure from MAGA and their leader. Now, suppose by some miracle, Democrats go on the offense and expose the Republican gummed up border fight as the political melodrama it is, and show how the Republicans have repeatedly sabotaged any and all immigration reform legislation. Suppose in doing so, Democrats win the House and the Senate in 2024. Will having that control mandate Congress to finally take a vote on one of the many bipartisan bills to legislate federal immigration reform? And will you support that action?
Well, it's a great question, and again, it's a very timely question. You can't turn on the television, whatever television show you watch that purports to talk about the news, it's got good coverage of the disorder at the border. Those of us who have been working on this for a long time know how difficult it is, and we know how serious the lack of immigration reform has been for our district for a whole bunch of different reasons. There's really 2 issues. One is border security, and the other is immigration reform. And you were smart to point out that there was a negotiated proposal, and it was negotiated by Republicans, Democrats, and an independent who serves in the U.S. Senate. And they got this thing right up to the finish line, they're ready to vote on it, and the last president, the former president, came out and said, don't pass this, it will hurt my efforts to run for president. He wants to use the disorder on the border for campaign fodder. And remember earlier, we were talking about, you know, how important it is to work together to deliver for the district. I guarantee you, if I came home to any part of our district and said, there's an opportunity to solve, you name the problem. But if we do, it's not gonna help my reelection, so I'm gonna kill it. You guys would send me back.
Yeah, you wouldn't get reelected, that's for
Exactly.
sure.
And neither should anybody else who subscribes to this. So the proposal that was negotiated isn't, it's border security. So that's important. The immigration reform part is not what we're talking about, but it's something we should do. For a couple of reasons. Not only is it disorderly on the border, but those poor immigrants.
Inhumane.
Absolutely. Those poor immigrants, when they get to the border, they are abused. There's not a single woman or girl who doesn't have some terrible story to tell about these people that are basically trafficking that. So we should move quickly on dealing with this. Now, I see the president has just announced that they're working to figure out what else administratively he can do to restore the border. And so I think that, you know, he's made some attempts. I believe there's some things that he can do and should do. And I'm looking forward to that. And whether or not I'll vote on what's done really depends on what's in the package. But I am all in for doing a negotiated response to border security and immigration reform. I've carried legislation. Well, when the Democrats had a bill that would have solved a lot of the immigration reform thing, it was killed by when Paul Ryan was the speaker. And California Democrats met and we broke up the package into pieces. My piece was expediting legal citizenship for veterans. There are a lot of immigrants who don't have their citizenship that are veterans, served in combat or ready to go to combat. They should get some expedited treatment in that. And I couldn't even get a Republican co-author on that bill because the politics of immigration is so helpful in these elections.
Which is why we have to elect more Democrats. We have to make sure that we get out the vote on that. All right, so it's time now. We're gonna do another little.
What are we gonna?
We're gonna do another door prize here. So let's go for your olive oil this time.
Ooh. Forney Grove olive oil.
Tom Olson, is he here? Okay.
You have to be present to win.
No, you will drop it off. Okay, so the next question is an audience question, and it will come from Jeanette Wiley.
All right, you've been on record mentioning that healthcare is a right, and yet too many Americans still can't get healthcare, especially mental health care. So tell us a little bit about the Mental Health Research Accelerator Act of 2023 and why we as citizens should be aware of it.
Good bill, good author. That's legislation that I have, and Ginny's right. Healthcare is an issue that I think need to be working double time on. And on the regular healthcare, I've done a lot, especially in the space of telemedicine. We've been able to expand access to healthcare through that. And I'm on the health subcommittee on Ways and Means. We've been able to do a lot of things. There's still a lot more to do. But I believe the number one problem that we face in this country is climate change. We get everything else right and we don't deal with climate change. It'll all be for naught. I believe the number two issue in our country is mental health. And you can't find, I mean, it is linked to everything. It's linked to workplace absenteeism. It's linked to spousal abuse, child abuse, you name it, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. And when someone is suffering from mental illness and they can't get the treatment that they need, and that's that's common, that's that's practice, not exception. And it's very, very expensive. We don't have, we only treat the symptoms of mental health. And there's not enough money to do that. So that's what, and if you can't get the help, you self-medicate. That's why there's a big part of that population, the homeless population, for instance, is addicted to drugs and or alcohol. So I believe that what we need to do is we need to get ahead of the curve. We need to do the research of the brain to figure out why this is happening. And unless we get ahead of the curve, we're going to play catch up forever. And so that's why I introduced that legislation. We'll provide tax incentives for companies to invest in mental health research. And I think we can make some headway. And it came out of our district. The Staglin family, who was the founder of the One Mind research that's being done, this came out of their portfolio. And I'm working closely with them. And back to, you need to work with whomever you can to get things done. My co-author is Mike Kelly, Republican from Pennsylvania, and we're both committed to this, and we're working real hard.
All right.
Check the Cortadas.
Check the Cortada while I read off some patrons here. Our patrons are Tanya Alston, Christopher Cavallo, Richard and Jeannie White, and Kay Patrice Williams. And the question 6 is another audience question, and it will come.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah, before.
Okay.
I just want to.
You want to check to see?
I want to poke the Cortada.
Well, I got news for you. Your assistant and I have a really good way of checking if it's done, but you know, just telling you, just jiggle it a little bit. There's always a way. Okay, so our next question will come from longtime Democratic activist and member of the Northern Solano Democratic Club, Marlene Carter.
Congressman, you have said that education is vital to our nation's long-term success. And so what do you see as the federal government's proper approach, specifically as it pertains to Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, regarding programs that may impinge on the quality and scope of public education? For example, elements like the push for private school vouchers, the banning of thought-provoking books in our libraries, and the narrowing of instruction when it comes to the history and humanities that could possibly strengthen the public role and good citizenship. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. I think education is the answer to a lot of our problems. And some of you know that my road to any success that I've ever received was kind of a twisty one. I was a high school dropout. I got my GED in the Army, and I came back. I went to junior college, and after junior college, I transferred to the Harvard, the CSU system, Chico State. And I may be the only person that ever does this cooking class with you, Alice, who can say that my education is a GED, an undergraduate degree, a high school diploma, and a master's degree in that order. So between my undergraduate and graduate school, I felt bad that I never finished high school, so I went back to community college and took an English class and a science class so I could get my high school diploma. And I think education is very, very important. And I think it's important, and I think people are starting to understand it now, that education can come in different forms. You know, some people, the high school, college, graduate school is the way to go. Some people, it's high school, junior college, some sort of technical training. There's a lot of different ways you can get that education to make you a contributing member of your community. So I support all of the above. The federal government, I think the biggest thing that the federal government could do is fully fund the special ed programs that we have. Federal government has never come through with funding that they promised the American voters. We ought to do that. But on the cultural issues that you talk about, we should all be very, very concerned about that. And every time that we think we've just about, hit the wall on how crazy something can get, something else comes up. This Alabama case on the frozen embryos. I've been trying to check out to see if I have any brothers or sisters I didn't know about. They're in the deep freeze someplace. It's frightening. And I think, and that's what, Alice, that's how Alice started this. So we need to be involved. We need to be participatory. We need to protect our democracy. We need to maintain our freedom to be able to elect the leaders that we want, so we don't go down the rabbit hole that you just outlined.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure to share my kitchen with you today, Congressman, and for joining us here. I like to call this a kitchen table conversation about issues and concerns. I love that. I love that we're all here talking about this over a kitchen table event. So do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us? And we're running out of time, so,
We're all running out of time. If you didn't know it, none of us are getting out of here alive. So I just want to thank you for doing this. Thank you for opening your kitchen again. And it's not just when you have a cooking with Alice, are you involved? You're involved 24/7. You understand how important this is. And everybody who's here with us today falls into that same category. Democracy is not a spectator sport.
Yes.
We need to be involved. And this more so today than ever before. This is going to be, and I know it gets old, we hear it every 2 years or every 4 years, but I believe that this year, this is the most important election in our life. We've got, that very conservative Republican group, just this week said that, they said, you're not gonna lie, we wanna do away with democracy. I treasure my freedom, and I don't wanna do away with democracy. I wanna make sure we preserve it. And as I said earlier, so we have the freedom to choose our elected officials. We can't, and the last guy, he's already talking about what he'll do. We'll get rid of everybody, bring lobbyists in to run things. And they tried, thankfully, unsuccessfully, to overturn the vote of the people and to keep him in office. And do you really think that if he came back in, he's going to go as quietly as he did last time?
No.
And quietly, quietly was an insurrection, and people were killed, and the Capitol was damaged. And next time, I'm afraid we'll do that. They might be able to build that gallows closer to where Mike Pence is than they were able to before.
All right, so we're gonna get rid of, make sure that our guests and viewers get the door prizes that we have here for them.
What's this door prize?
This is gonna be one of the boxes on the table from New Orleans, from what we call it's pralines from Diane Keopi. Is she here? Kathy. Okay, we're gonna have one box for her. And okay, Margie Olson, is she here?
No, she's Tom. Yeah, she's.
Okay.
I have 2 other door prizes. One is a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon that was made for me by a local winery with a beautiful label drawn by the famous artist Earl Hollander.
Well, guess who won that one?
Who won that one?
Francis McCullough.
That's the process to win that one.
And then another door prize.
Christina Montman, is she here? Oh, okay, Jeannie's sister one. That's the one, that's out.
This is a Sauvignon Blanc from Napa Winery, Honig Winery, and I'm sure that she'll like this. And the reason she will is because the Sauvignon Blanc grapes in this came from the vineyard where Jan and I grew the olives.
And we have one more New Orleans gift to give, and that goes to Kathy Patinos. Kathy is here.
Nope,
She's
she's not here.
Okay,
I'll talk to her soon.
all right. So that's it. You're gonna do one more thing on the ricotta, sprinkle.
There's some more Gruyere cheese, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out, I'm gonna sprinkle this over the top and just put it in there for just a little bit.
Sounds good. So, in the meantime though, thanks to all of you for attending and sponsoring this event. We are once again facing an election season that is extremely important, just like the Congressman said. The pressure is on our votes for Democrats. Our votes for Democrats to not only respond to the cultural war attacks from the opposing party, to the normalizing of our previous president's criminal behavior, to the misinformation and its melodramatic contraindications on our democracy. We must also communicate, despite the media's neglect, that Democrats are connecting to the issues: healthcare, gun violence, voting rights, women's rights, equity and inclusion, education, affordable housing, environmental challenges, inflation, hunger. Democrats are doing this work. It's not easy under the circumstances. We must articulate, though, how solutions to these problems are on track to being addressed by Democrats, despite the obstruction of Republicans. However, solution laws and policies face complete derailment if Democrats don't vote en masse this election season. So Democrats of Solano County and Democrats everywhere, let's do as much and whatever we can to get out the vote to elect more Democrats. We cannot afford to waffle on this serious call to action. The Northern Solano Democratic Club, under the leadership of Jeannie White and the E-Board, have demonstrated what we can achieve if we work together. We need only to look at our current city council and the recent Vacaville school board election to see the power and the wisdom of our activism. So buckle up, people. Get ready to hold signs, write postcards, knock on doors, write op-eds. Get ready to do whatever you can, in addition to financial support, of course, to keep Solano moving. Let's work to elect, support, and hold accountable Democrats who have the courage to legislate and execute laws and public policies that demonstrate that respect for the human dignity for all is the brick and mortar of our democracy. You ready to get to work?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this might be a good time first to show the precautions.
Of course.
Look at
They
that.
look pretty great. You know, we've all heard different quotes from the greatest speaker we've ever had, Nancy Pelosi.
Mhm.
But after what you said about the importance of this election, I have a Nancy Pelosi quote that I bet most people haven't heard before that I'd like to share. Let's just win it, baby.
That's it. Before we pass off completely, I want to acknowledge the behind the scene workers. Our President Jeannie White, Vice President Julie Roston Thomas, Co-Secretaries Nancy and Steve Federley, and special thanks to Anthony and Becky Cecina for all of the lights and all of the things that they do here. Don Lowry for all he does, particularly with Act Blue, making sure we get the money.
Yeah.
And to Jacob Francisco, our social media guru, for getting the word out about this. We are especially appreciative to you, all of you, for coming, for the sponsors, for the patrons, and for those of you who are joining us virtually. And particularly, I'm so happy to see so many people in my kitchen. All right, so don't forget to follow us on Facebook and share the photos you took. And keep in mind that the goal of the Northern Solano Democratic Club is to reach every registered Democrat in Solano County, every single one. Therefore, it remains remiss, Don, if I didn't remind you to pay your dues, consider signing up for the monthly recurring donation, and most of all, to reach out to others to join us in this fight for democracy. And thanks again, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Enjoy your frittata. One more thing. Thanks for all you do to keep Solano blue. All right.